It's a real blessing to be with you here on this Wednesday of the Word of Encouragement. Today I'd like to go to a well-known psalm, Psalm 91. So many verses you could go to that are encouraging, but I want to start with verse 1. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. In the New Testament, or during the time of Christ, you have the emphasis by the Lord Jesus on abiding in Him, staying in a place of continual dependence upon the Lord, upon the vine, and He is the vine and we're the branches, depending upon Him, drawing from Him our strength. And God has promised to answer our prayers, to give us His joy, to give us much fruit. It's a wonderful chapter. That's chapter 15 of John there in the New Testament. And then you go to 1 John, and you find also all throughout that first epistle, all of the blessings of abiding. Well, that's what you have here. If we dwell, if we abide in a full relationship in the secret place of the Most High. In other words, we are in an intimate personal relationship with Him. We will then be able to abide under the shadow of the Almighty. We will be extremely conscious of how strong He is, how mighty He is, and we will be able to look to Him for what we need when we go through some of the difficulties of life. But if we're not dwelling in Him, we're not aware of His power, we're not aware of His abilities, we look at the situations and they cause us to tremble when we see our own weakness. And of course, that in itself is very, very scary if you're not looking to the Lord. In verse 2 it says, I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God, in Him will I trust. And so my main thrust here in just this simple word today is to realize that God is always big. God is always working on your behalf. God is always ready to deliver. He is always ready to shield you. But if you're not abiding in a dependent relationship, if you're depending on friends, you're depending on things, you're depending upon success or whatever, instead of depending upon the Lord and having a genuine relationship with Him, you're not going to be discerning of the tremendous privilege you have of being under the shadow of the Almighty. Your eyes are not going to be open to who He really is. Oh, but when you are walking with Him and something comes along, you realize, God has this. I can trust Him. He will work all things together for good. And you can have a deep rest in your soul. And so I want to encourage us today. Let's just determine we're going to abide in the vine. We're going to dwell in the secret place of the Most High. And we will then be aware of the encouraging reality of the person of our God.